So today we'll be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode, we saw a lot of things happen. We saw the collapse of the gold team when they expanded a lot and they eventually ended up fully collapsing and broke up into these three nations. We saw the Balkanization of the Anatolian Peninsula and some new European countries with the formation of the very powerful and uh, dangerous Romani Empire right here into the Italian peninsula and France. So let's waste no time and get straight into the video. Right now I wanna tell you all that I updated the layers, the ideologies, provinces, major cities, and even added a religion layer which will update over time. So we'll go right over to the yellow team when I wanna talk about something. And that something is that, the yellow team is huge. It's fair enough the strongest country in the world. It has a lot of territory. They took a lot of Arabia, and there's really no reason as they would keep their capital right here in Africa, where they have the constant threat that is the red team, and it's just simply not a reason to keep it in here, even though this is where they originated from. So they will end up moving their capital, and they will move it right here into this major city right here where their new capital belongs. Turning major cities off, we can see that now the yellow team moved its capital here on the coast of the Red Sea, and it's this now over time evolved to be the new biggest city of the yellow team, the second fair enough still being the former capital, but now this grew into the largest city and they decided to move their capital. But now going over to the Nigerian parts of Africa where the remains of the gold team are, with the sky blue team and the pink team. They are democracies. Also, I'm gonna turn on the ideology layer. As you can see, the gold team is a dictatorship, while these two guys are very very democratic, and they feel quite unsafe. They broke off from the gold team and they might try to take them back. So with this, they are gonna sign an alliance together. So for our first alliance, we'll have the circle alliance being created between these two guys to counter the power of the gold team and to potentially stop them against a future conquest, and now they will hold each other's backs. But this is gonna spark some thinking around the world. And here now we see with Egypt and Israel. As you can see, Israel controls the Nile Delta, which Egypt really wants. But Israel controls it, and Egypt is stronger, and Israel feels unsafe and really feels as if Egypt might go to war with them. Also, Libya is very unhappy with Egypt because they would wish some of this coast and maybe some of their inner territories. So we'll have an alliance being signed between Libya and Israel. And here I welcome you to the square alliance between Libya and Israel. Now these two militarily united against Egypt, which will make them very, very mad. And they really don't think in this alliance. Egypt really doesn't believe in this alliance, and they will be dumb enough to go in anyway and start taking Israel's land here in the Nile Delta. And I don't know what's happening to the ocean, just ignore that. But now we will see the alliance getting involved because Egypt just invaded their ally Israel, so Libya will join the war. But now it's time for a little bit of a lore dump because something just happened in the blue team. they got a new leader. They got a new leader known as Zimov Xalans, and you know he this leader is very expansionist. This leader is very expansionist, so he will decide to also join the war and join the Square Alliance, not officially, but for this war. And Egypt is screwed. Immediately, Israel will go in and retake their land in here and starts pushing into Egypt. Now, Libya will truly carry their own weight, pushing right here into all these lands and becoming pretty clearly strong. That's interesting. But now comes the MVP of them all, the blue team, which will have a swift show by totally dismantling Egypt. They just have no hopes. And this is a true swift show into showing how strong the blue team is. They'll take a lot of this land, and this is happening very fast. They take all this land across the Nile River and encircle their capital right here. Israel will make some final pushes up here, taking all this nice land. As for the rest, it's gonna be taken over by the blue team. Egypt just got cooked by Israel, Libya, and the blue team. So let's see how they are divided up, because they are not gonna come out pretty in this peace treaty. So as you can see, Egypt has been completely partitioned, with the blue team taking all this land. This is a huge amount of land. Then Libya will come in, and I changed their color because they were way too similar with the blue team, and I risked to have like the map blend in and accidentally unite these two. And now for Israel, they will get some of this land, and goodbye Egypt. It just got clapped. Now we erase that smile of the map, and with this, Egypt has been completely partitioned between these guys, and now the blue team really shows why it's so high in the power rankings. Again, on the alliance layer, we have the square team here up north. The blue team left it. They were there just for the war. They didn't like join it for good or something. But now their leader Zimov Xelans is happy, understandably so, because he's very imperialist, and he's now starting to look forward at maybe going in and taking out this alliance which he worked with. And maybe from there, after taking them, they could take Carthage, and from there go into Europe, take all this land, and maybe go back in and take the red and yellow teams and basically unite the world. That's his vision. Now in Europe, the tensions keep brewing between the Romani Empire and Greece, and also Galicia has some high instability issues. So they will decide to go in and potentially uh, solving their problems together by forming the new triangle alliance between the two nations, and together feel as if they can take the Romani Empire down. They will be able to conquer Europe and eventually the world. So with this, we see them declaring war on the Romani Empire, and we see the start of the War of 1 AD. Yep, that's right, we are officially in the year 1 AD, and this is the first war of the new times. We now see Greek forces advance into the Roman Empire, taking a lot of this land and moving right across here, but they are unsuccessful in advancing further because we are about to see why. And just let me tell you, it's not pretty. They will immediately sweep across the Italian peninsula, taking all this land. Also, they will take Sicily, and you can barely see the colors, but anyway, now they will move across here and retake their land. and now they will start to rightfully advance into Greece's territory, and they are starting to question why they joined this war. No worries, cause Galicia's here, except that they kind of move across here, take some land, but yeah, this doesn't last long. And again, I don't know what happens to the ocean, but it doesn't last long. And then what happened to Greece happens to them as they take a lot of land, move across here, takes their isles, and they move across these Catalonian lands. And now we are gonna see something super funny happen. Do you remember all that instability I talked about Galicia in the last video? Yeah, now it's going back to hit them. And the huge rebellion in here will happen with rightfully what's Galicia breaking out in here. This sign country is actually like Andalusia. They take the super big city I talked about in the last video. Also, I'm gonna go on the major cities layer and show it to you here. And now the Romani Empire will sweep across these guys. They are hopeless and they lose their capital, and then basically they are forced into surrender by the Romani Empire. And now all their troops are focused on Greece. The troops keep going down into here, but they're gonna be stopped by, well, the Greek army. But now we are gonna see something super unfortunate with a naval landing here in Albania, encircling the troops, and eventually they all fall and die. From here, they are gonna lose their Thrice lands up here into Istanbul, and they will lose their capital, and Greece will agree to peace. The War of 180 is basically the deadliest war of these times, and let's see how it ends up in the peace treaty. So as you can see, this is the peace treaty. It's huge. And we will begin right here in Iberia, the peace treaty to the War of 180. We will begin the peace treaty to the War of 180 right here in Iberia with the new Andalusian, not Andalusian, but Galician country with their capital in the major city I talked about a lot. And Galicia kind of got screwed over. It's not because they like lost a lot of land. I mean, they like lost half of their country, but it's more about the fact that like they lost a lot of potential land and a lot of progress. But anyway, going over to the Romani Empire, they will annex the islands, the Spanish Isles, also taking all this Catalonian land, and the Romani Empire is quickly approaching the power rankings, and it's going up. By now, I think it's fourth because Egypt, um, let's just say it's now one with the blue team, and yeah. But going over to what Greece has to give in the peace treaty, they lose not all that. And also going over to Greece, we see them losing their Italian peninsula claims and Sicily, and also they lose all these Yugoslavian lands. And the Romani Empire, yeah, is the fourth strongest. They are like big and strong, and now now basically we have empires. We have as empires the red team, yellow team, blue team, and the Romani Empire, which is an empire since the last video. And now they will decide to go further with their colonization by taking over some of these Swiss lands. They move right across here and up into the Romanian regions, and they take all this. Also, they go in and take some of this land right here, claiming all this, and some more into Germany, Switzerland, taking this land. And now the Romani Empire is starting to become even bigger and started to kind of add a bit of thickness to its borders. We now see a Romanian country forming right here out of people who really don't really want to expand. They aren't really expansionist like this. Mostly it's the people from the mountains without coastal access, they farm, and the people on the coast, on the sea, they fish. And it's gonna be a pretty economically wealthy country, and it's gonna be known as the Farmers Union. Yep, that's right, I ripped off another country from Alice Bros Week, so only if I got rid of Greece. Hehehe, oink oink. With all these new countries, we are gonna also see, well, exploration happening in here, and they go in up to Finland and in here into Scandinavia. Again, people in this timeline, they want to explore, they want to. It's like something common to be part of an exploration group and to like lead explorations through the world and stuff, it's a pretty common job, and also they will go in here and explore parts of Norway and Sweden. Understandably so, they will also explore their islands. And now Europe is almost fully explored. Now going over to Caucasia, we see explorations here led by Israel and the Yellow Team, which we should discuss here in a second. And by discussing, I mean we will have these Middle Eastern guys go in and colonize these lands. Now we will go over not to the Yellow Team, but rather, yeah, the Yellow Team, but they will go in and explore a lot of lands here in Persia. They will explore a lot of lands into Persia, meeting with the Aral Lake, taking, not taking, but exploring all these lands here and that, and now they kind of prepared this exploration group since the last episode, so it makes sense for them to take all this land and explore it. Now something terrible for the Roman Empire will happen as a new Dutch country forms in and takes all these lands, and it's a huge movement. It's like massive. They take a lot of land and take all this country is huge, and these guys are menaces. And now we are gonna see a super interesting dynamic happening between the new Dutch country and the Romani Empire, and that's the fact that the people are gonna consider them split countries like North and South Korea, East and West Germany, now they are gonna recognize now they are gonna recognize the Romani Empire as the Southern Empire and the Dutch Empire as the Northern Empire. And they're gonna do something pretty interesting with their capital. They're gonna have dual capitals. Their main capital will be here where Amsterdam would be. But this is fairly close to the Roman Empire, so they will also get a second capital, and this one will be roughly where Hamburg would be in real life. And that's that, they now have a country. Also, it's about time to also give the new Farmers Union a capital, which will be about here. Now, now you gotta admit, Europe is becoming pretty cool and pretty hot, but also pretty united, as there aren't that many countries on it, but rather we have multiple countries that are basically united, Europe is a pretty united continent for the most part, except the dynamic between these two new empires, and you know there's basically two sides in Europe. There's kind of the square team side with uh, Andalusia, Greece, and the Northern Empire, as also known as the Dutch Empire. And also there's kind of the opposite side, which is led by Galicia, the Romani Empire, and sort of Romania, even though they are basically neutral. But you know, they kind of lean more towards the Romani Empire. But again, really, they don't care. If a war were to break out, they would stay neutral. We haven't visited Africa in a while, and that's because from the last video, basically people have organized explorations down into here, exploring all this land in Africa, not all of it though, exploring all this, and eventually they even make a landing in Madagascar, which leads to the entire place being discovered. And now there's only South Africa, which is still unexplored. And be sure of the fact that in the next episode there will be some countries forming in here. But now we are approaching the end of the video, so we are gonna wrap it up with the blue team expanding, and more exactly, they will kind of thicken their borders in here, going around where the red team is, kind of laying on top of them. They are no longer really scared of them. I mean, you just saw in today's video what they did to Egypt, so yeah, life lesson: do not mess around with the blue team because they will beat you. They also like overlay under Libya, which kind of freaks them out. Like, what are you doing? But the blue team does not does not care. The leader does not care. And for the final event, we will have Carthage moving in and taking this part of Morocco, just like this. And now they are starting to become big as well. And with this, we end today's video. I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.